Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to discuss the bare fundamentals on why and how you really should hold your mouse. It can be really impactful, make the biggest difference on how you aim. Today we're going to discuss the various ways to grip a mouse. We're going to talk about palm, fingertip, claw, and of course my own personal favorite where you're mixing and blending all of them together. Flex grip. Essentially we're just mixing between the two while you're playing a specific game. We're going to talk about the impact of using different mice, and I have a different one here just to kind of give an example. We're going to talk about arm sleeves, which I currently am using one right now, and the impact of how you sit. First, let us start with the impact of using different mice. The shape is really key on how you hold it. The goal, you want to find a mouse that works specifically with your hand best, meaning comfort and the style you want, because comfort and learning is key. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. So an example as my own reference in terms of mice that I own. Larger mice may lend itself to be palmed. So like the G903, an example. You can definitely palm the G Pro. You can definitely palm the G Pro, just as an example. So if you're palming, you put your full palm, move around. Smaller mice may lend to fingertip, like the Final mouse. This is definitely going to be harder to palm because it's a much smaller mouse. Of course, my hand isn't necessarily the largest, but you get the point. Or if you have a wider mouse, an example would be the Razer Naga, as an example. It's more long than wide, but it does have a pretty large hump. Or it could be really tall, like the mouse, the G403. Another thing that can impact how you grip your mouse is how you sit in terms of comfort. So you want to make sure when you're sitting that you're not reaching too high. So if you're reaching too high, then of course your shoulders are going to be raised. And if you're too low, then obviously you're going to be reaching high up to try to get the mouse. So you want to be pretty much at perpendicular of your mouse, just so you have the optimal ability to grip the mouse. And of course, if you're too high up, you don't want to hurt your neck by looking down too much. But let's get right into the grip styles. So first, let's talk about palming the mouse. This is the most relaxing of the grips. This is recommended for those who tense up too much when they aim. The palm grip style is literally that. You have your palm do the work for you, and you move your arm. So kind of a dramatic version here. This is harder on slightly higher sensitivities because you're lacking the dexterity in your fingers. Granted, you can have the dexterity with, palming it, because you're going to be resting your thumb on the left side of the mouse, and your pinky and ring finger are going to be on this side right here. So if you're palming, see how you're still not quite fingertip, and you have it in your hand, a nice palm. So let's discuss the quick pros and cons of this. Obviously, again, it's more relaxed, so you don't have to worry about tensing up for your shot. You can have some dexterity in terms of your overall palm and side of your hand for the dexterity there, but it can be a little harder on higher senses. And even me, I'm more of a fingertip, which is why I'm naturally kind of going to a fingertip grip. Lower sensitivities, this works a lot better because you're kind of palming going across your mouse pad as a whole, which can be a huge benefit. Now the cons, again, like I mentioned, less precision. Lower sensitivity in general can cause shoulder pain if you're constantly doing this motion and repeat it over and over and over and over again, so that can kind of hurt your arm. Now for the fingertip grip style. This is my personal favorite. This is what they call the fastest of the grip styles. I can see that because it requires the most tension, especially whenever you're gripping the mouse. You essentially are touching most of your mouse with just your fingertips only. So if I'm looking at the mouse here, thumb here, finger up top, middle finger, then I have the ring and index. Notice how none of my palm or the back is touching the mouse. It's strictly fingertip only. So from up above, it looks like this. From the side, it looks like this. You can have generally your own variations. I've seen people go a little higher on it. I've seen people go a little lower. Kind of just depends what works for you. But it's not a palm. You're not really using your palm. It can definitely touch a little bit, but then it starts to become more of a claw grip. Again, the claw and the fingertip grip can get confusing too much together, and we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. The pros, it can have a much faster movement because of the higher tension, and is believed to have the highest skill ceiling in terms of success. So if you're trying to be more, having more dexterity, moving around, you have this whole line of functionality here, as you can tell, as you're moving. a bit more of a dramatic version, but like let's say if you're trying to snipe and you're trying to pull in and just trying to track, it gives you that fast movement and dexterity compared to palming, where you can definitely do it, but then if, I know my shoulder's not in frame, but then your shoulder's going to have a lot more issues, which is why I was mentioned that it would be more of the con. Again, the con to this is that it's harder to master. I don't really agree with that statement, but talking with friends who have palmed their mouse say it's a lot larger of an adjustment. Fingertip is not your natural go-to because naturally whenever you grab a mouse, you're just going to rest on it. You're not going to, you know, go full on fingertip grip and just not touch anything else on the mouse. Now, let's talk about claw grip. Claw grip is up next. Claw grip gets mistaken too much for fingertip. It's like a fingertip grip, but the back of your palm meets the back of the mouse. In my opinion, this blends both the palm and the fingertip. So again, with claw, notice how this kind of digs in more in the back. So a side view right there. You see how it kind of, again, claw. You're essentially getting the best of both worlds here. Now, the pros on this, you can kind of go hybrid claw. The pros that it can be really stable for long-range shots and can be a blend of palming and fingertip grip. And it can be hard to do broader strokes, in my opinion, with the mouse. People do it all the time because you are clawing. You have to mentally shift in a weird way from palm to fingertip, in my opinion. I naturally like the fingertip more, the fingertip grip. Claw, you're kind of mixing it. You kind of can go up and down with it because you're still hitting the back of your palm. Just a quick note, again, about fingertip grip. With the low sense, it can really add a ton of unique speed and dexterity. It is what you've been seeing mostly on screen prior to me moving. But again, if we cover this again, palm, resting your fingers, palming, fingertip, and then you put the back here, claw. So those are the three styles. I know I kind of said flex grip. Essentially, if you're playing, let's say, obviously a first-person shooter, and you're sniping somebody from far away, you can be fingertip, but then if you need to dig in deep, you might start to claw your mouse. This is an example. I kind of see a flex grip between the two. You can kind of hone in, bring it back in for more dexterity. I've seen players do that. I've seen some kind of palm, but not touch the back of their palm. Kind of have their fingers more at the top. So then you kind of have that wiggle room. That can kind of help. So the biggest thing here, as you're really looking at it as we wrap up, remember that there's not a one-size-fits-all in terms of success here. It really depends on what works best for you. Genes, life, so much really comes into play here. I mean, just an example, if you're a doctor, perhaps you're going to have great fingertip grip just because of the dexterity in the fingers. Have large hands, you're probably going to need to palm it. Maybe you want higher tension but still really want to palm the mouse. Well, then you have your claw grip, right? Your hand size comes into a factor. Let's say I had a bear of a hand. There's no way this final mouse is going to suit them. They're going to have to palm it. To fingertip this small of a mouse just isn't really realistic. Obviously with the G Pro, I consider the G Pro pretty standard size. It's, you know, definitely not as small as the final mouse, but a pretty medium size. But again, you need to find what works best for you for your hands. If you look at your hand, you look at the shape and what feels comfortable. If you have too large of a hand and you're kind of scrunched in trying to fingertip grip, let's say this was much smaller, then you're going to have a lot more tension in your fingers here. Now, if you're trying to palm something and you're lacking the dexterity on the back of the palm for the mouse to reach because it's too small, then you're going to be missing the rest of your hand and you're going to be missing a lot of shots. Same thing for claw when it's a hybrid of the two, so you kind of have to blend it. So again, look at your hand size, see what feels comfortable, and go through these three styles and ask yourself what's best. And of course, your finger placement is everything. An example of what I used to do that was poor, what could actually work, is I used to hold my mouse fingertip grip-wise, but I used to hold it like this. I did shift it over here to add more dexterity in terms of my movement, because what I would do is I would hover my middle finger there, and it wouldn't help. And it actually started to feel pain there, and so I decided to switch it up. So again, I hope you found this video helpful. Pretty straightforward video. I know we're kind of looking right at the camera most of the time, but hopefully kept it pretty engaging. Pretty good conversation. Help somebody out there in terms of the various grip styles, a more realistic approach, having a real conversation about how to hold your mouse, and hopefully it'll help you. But again, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, down below for more content. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys all next time.